share. So we're going to start the program right now. Before we start the program, I would like to introduce the educators here today. We have Professor Esoe Mercy Omoregbe, who is going to be providing today's lecture titled Ikpemwe na Kunwedo. So we also have Dr. Osagbovo Ewoma with us today, all the way from the University of Benin. We also have Professor Victor Edosa Omozuwa. Before we start today's program, we'd like to acknowledge Professor Omozuwa, what he has been doing in the WhatsApp group. Oh my God, I learned a lot. For only 1 month, thank you so much for your time and efforts to project the Edo language in diaspora, sir. We appreciate you today. Wese Baba. So today, Professor Esoe Omoregbe is going to be providing the lecture. Go ahead, ma.
One baby nagre kai we doniro wa keniresi. Yo ni last fena pon. Oti mare enekme. Aba soge. Awa kakabor yegbe ye. Eme dona wena. Kate oge emanire ewebu. Anawe mwe nebo TV ni maya we. Eme no kai iwe mi dona. Ina we le ma we pon meri ma Professor Omozuwa no mwe iwe mi na to uki no gbera. Igwese Professor Igwese Omozuwa Igwese atie Professor Webu. Ina we pon me ma ya ni deba ma we iwe mi oge dene na. Oba atokpe ise. Iwe mi oge dene na. Odekan Ikpemwe na Kunwedo. Kebe ode uguga na ya mwa Ikpemwe na. In this lecture, we are going to talk about the different categories of words in Edo and their internal structure, the different ways of forming words in Edo and their internal structure. This is the level of the knowledge of language that immediately follows that of the sound system presented in last month's lecture by Professor Omozuwa. Today's lecture is the second level of the knowledge of language, and it involves an area of language study, which is very broad because of its various subparts. However, we will try as much as possible to present it in a simplified form. In last month's lecture, we were taught the relevant sounds in Edo. Ukinogbera, Erima ge Igwese Omozuwa, Tamima we Ulame keve eleta okpero vijeva eoredo. Ona we vie igemi ni bun uwuga keve fotian ladian ni maya ave ulame ve ave letana. Ave nota keve one ni wakian we platform. Nothing ma create. Kedori ade vi yeke iwe mi ni. Avie mi ae we wono kain. Avi Ikpemwe. Ni redo bena ya kun Ikpemwe he. Bena ya zia he ke bena ya igbeni he. So part of today's lecture has been taken care of by that lecture. So we begin today's lecture by defining what a word is. Batie Ikpemwe. Ikpemwe oe ikpe oge eme norie odwen mota ma ne aze a ne agme. Asetin lo Ikpemwe pokpa. We vian kugbe yakun. Ititieme. Nebotia a phrase. Ifieme. Nebotia a sentences no by. Emi here ne arigbene kene aze be uruewo here. Ikpemwe ayawe here. Be nene na ye. Oha. Ehara. Eleta. Ikweta. Abetia ikwe mama say. Kehia. A word is a simple, meaningful element of speech or writing used with others or sometimes alone to form a phrase or a sentence, and typically shown with a space on either side. Aragbene Ikpemwe na. Agbena Ikpemwe na. Agarie ekpo tolelia. Na miehe na edoma de. Ehene ni alai. Kebe iwina ne iyanwina be emeni aje. Igemi Ikpemwe pokpa. Ao, ogwe, ahe, upon, owa. Ikpemwe nire ititieme. Okpe anotain, okone teku, ototaga, waramie, ekenamwe, awa sterisi dele. Okpe anotain, okone teku, ototaga, awa gbenia kugbe, enonsi enana ma sterisi lele, amari ekpoto lelian. Only no way in rapid speech. Anybody can understand when you speak these words to them, but when you write them, they will not be able to know the different words that make up this phrase. So also the sentences that we have here, ije meri eki, ije sukunode. You see the sentences with asterisks. Ijeme is together, Rieki is together, Jesuku together, Leva SSA together. These are three different words that have been put together. In writing, it's not the person who is looking at these sentences cannot understand the number of words that are put together. They mistake them for one word, which is wrong. So when writing our words, we demarcate them with word division by separating the words that we use. Edo words can be divided into 8 parts of speech. Ikpemwe here ni re uruewo daduruewo kuruewo doma de abo avian lele abe dome begbe Ikpemwe verio orima oe eni nebotie noun ata eni pronoun unia eni adjective uta verb unia uta adverb, usweni, preposition, arilo, conjunction, so here, interjection or exclamation. Abe ena, eimame, we aboemota. Let's quickly look at some general characteristics of words in Edo. The magege avama. Eso pataki no kene Ikpemwe na kun Ikpemwe no gbai game wedo. Professor Mozuwa ka yunu kan ni bun we iwemi no mama ebe uki no gbera a platform no we can kedore ade ba we not ave one no wa if viole le kedore ade o wa we you no kan nibun wo so pa ma ye ni ani e so wo nda ami we Ikpemwe na kun amanama lele ai kage Ikpemwe no gbai eyan kin no ka owo. All Edo nouns begin and end with pronounceable vowels. Abi gemina. All nouns begin and end with pronounceable vowels. Only no way. Ola. Abi kpeni. Ikpemeni. Ya swewe do. Ola. Ave ya muya se. Ufome. Ugbenso, I think lue Ikpemwe ogebo Ikpemwe ni ogebo so pa awi Ikpemwe ni yen yipo sun ibi edoma ye ola ije o ya sun yen tin lue awi Ikpemwe radio o si enana do ami aveni no ye ikposun ebe ne Peter ye ogiri ola yoda ya sun odo Peter Ikpemwe Matthew bebo odo Matthew Ikpemwe peace odo peace Lovette Lovette Patience adwa nibun do atie epesi John egioni ke nibun here. The second mark where all words in Edo end in pronounceable vowels. Only no way Amie Ikpemwe Edo no ye na jikpo mu sufome. All words end in vowels. So any word
I don't want
being borrowed
quickly, ma.
Yeah.
Now we know why the Edo people always say, "Hey Johnny, hey Lovette."
Hey Johnny.
It's like accent managing, right? It's embedded in our accent.
Yes, our syllable structure, the syllable structure of our words, of our nouns. So we try to modify foreign words borrowed into the language to fit into our pronunciation of such words. That is why we prefix vowels to such words. So we say all words in the language end in vowels. So when we have words like nouns, it's mainly nouns that are affected by these pronunciations. When we have nouns, foreign nouns borrowed into the language, like English words that end in consonant, we must add vowels at the end of such words before we can pronounce them conveniently. Words like Joseph, which ends in F, we add a vowel at the end. Joseph. Gold, ego. Comfort, a comfortu. Mavis, a mavisi. Even egg, English word egg, that ordinarily begins with a vowel but ends in a consonant, because of our consciousness that all nouns in the language must begin with vowel, they unconsciously prefix another vowel to the word egg and end it with a vowel, so that it now has two vowels at the beginning. So it becomes a egg. So we have A, E, G, E as the spelling of that egg, egg. So that's the second characteristic feature that we must take into consideration. Then the third important one is that consonant clusters are not permitted in Edo words. So that is two or more consonants following each other in a word are not permitted in any word in Edo. So when we have foreign words, when we need to use English words, for example, or other foreign words that have these consonant clusters, Edo people usually break them by putting vowels in between the words. Words like bread will become a boedi, slate will become a sileti, computer, a computer, a biscuit will become a bisikiti, and many other examples like that. Pepsi will become a Pepsi. Grace will become a Giesi. Then the letter N at the end, Professor Mozuwa has done so much on that in words like Oma, Ameze, Omofoma, Me, and many other words like that, that we don't have any word ending in letter N. That is, the words end in vowels. No word ends in any letter. The subdotting feature is also there. This is a very important feature of word formation in the language, as the others we have mentioned. And Professor Mozuwa has done so much with it on that platform. For the benefit of those who have not been following, we have two vowels that carry subdots in the language, A and O. These two subdots must be adhered to when forming our words. In some cases, in some words, we have to use the subdot. In some other words, we don't need them. Failure to put subdot in words that need the subdots is causes meaning distinctions and meaning distortions. That is, you are telling those who are reading the work to give the word any meaning that they like. Words like they and they are different in meaning. Why they means to fall, they means to buy. But when you refuse to put subdot under the word that means buy, you are indirectly saying that word means fall. So you see how important the subdot is. A word like odo is different from odo. You see the two O's in odo do not carry subdot under, while the O in the odo carry subdot. So when you write, you pay attention to the use of this subdot. Then the orthographic segments of the form O arrow in English words, our professor has also dealt at length with that. He said that the form O arrow in English words was transferred from the English alphabet to the Edo alphabet. And our Edo people has carried on with that. O arrow is not a feature of the Edo alphabet. What should be the feature of Edo alphabet is O with a dot under. So in words like ekiadolo, eho, ekato, which is constantly written with O arrow, should be replaced with O with a dot under, as we see on the screen. Then the next one is word division, which we saw in those examples of Ijerieki, Amezegwale, where we did not, in those third examples that did not show the separation of the words. Then the use of the 3 arrow letters is also very important and should be taken into consideration when we are forming our words, because these 3 arrows are very important because they have meaning, their own meanings in their own right. They are distinctive, the 3 of them. The replacement of one with another cause meaning differences. A word like "ao" is a single arrow that is there. So if you replace the arrow there with the double arrow in a area, you are not going to have the meaning of "ao." You will have either a nonsense word which does not exist in Edo or a different meaning entirely. Then you have the 3rd arrow, arrow H, in a word like father. So in words like Omo Egbe, Orobosa, Ariare, we have different forms of arrow. You can see the words that are starred. Orobosa, the type of arrow there is wrong. What should be there is double arrow. But what we constantly see on paper that is written there is single arrow. Then Omo Egbe, most times people pronounce them with the double arrow. It should be the single arrow, so that you hear the pronunciation Omo Egbe. The arrow is almost silent in pronunciation. Then the word Iyare, most times we see on paper single arrow, and that pronunciation is Iyae, which is wrong. It doesn't have any meaning. Iyae, but the correct pronunciation is Iyare, and what should be written is double arrow to reflect that pronunciation. So there are many others like that. So we must use the right arrow for the right word to show that we are forming correct word. Then another mark is the use of the negative marker, amigbodan. Amigbodan, I. There are 4 negative markers in the language, ma, I, re, and ri. Of these 4 negative markers, I is usually employed in the formation of names and constructions that express present and habitual notions. Disregard of this very important marker lead to wrong spellings, wrong meaning, and miscommunication. If you look at these words, I Korie, Agbonifo, Uwigbe, Ayamehwe, you see the I in the proper position that they should occur. But if you see the wrong form that are starred there, the I is missing. Runde inere ave Ikpemwe ni. Ado atia akoriege agbonfo uwugbe ayamehwe eke nibun ya. Dege agbe amakwen Ikpemwe na se emnaya eka. Runde awa ma no ke no lele no ma vioyo osie. Then the last mark we will talk about before we go to the lecture for today is that Edo nouns do not begin with nasal letters like N, M, N, W, N, Y, and so on. All we have said as the first mark that all nouns begin with vowels and end with vowels. That is what we said as the very first mark today. So if we say that, that means no word, no noun in the language, whether names or ordinary nouns should begin with any nasal letter, like any M or any of the other nasal letters. But most times we see or hear names like Nosahae, Neihae, Nogase, even any governor in my year, Nogie, Noge, Keke, Nibu here, no, Niwabu, even Nekme, no wa. Ave nina, okay, ni ayaswan. No sahae, neihae, no regase, no gie, no wamagbe, no gie, nekpen, no uwa. That is the proper way these words should be pronounced and written. So any word, any of such names that begin.
Excuse me, ma. You know, the pronunciation is right in most cases, but the spelling, when we are writing, we don't spell it well. Like enekme. People used to call me enekme, but we write nekme instead. You understand even the yata I can't say any yata, but I hear the more I ignore say, you know, everybody boy I had to be nekme. But I can't be neckman. I don't know where N-E, with that A neckman.
That's what we are saying. We write as we spell. The rule is that all nouns and names occur under nouns. All nouns in the language begin and end with vowels. So whether na zeno or nagmeno, nouns must begin with vowels. Oniatana. So ate ikpemwe na kunse or ikpemwe na kunse. Ikpemwe ni, that's nouns. All nouns must begin with vowels and end with vowels. That is ola. Ikpemwe ni ya swenwedo. And names, that's names of people, names of places, animals, any type of names at all must begin with vowels and end with vowels. So, ave no sa kae. Any is a consonant, a vowel. Na itana or a where a, which is a vowel. Okay. Ikpemwe very oyaswan. They no ke no gaye. Whether na ze or na gme no. So we go to the lecture.
Vowel.
A is a vowel. A is one of the 7 other vowels in the language. A is a vowel.
So N is a consonant.
Yes.
We don't know that.
Okay, by now everybody should now be knowledgeable about the ulame kekave letter ni waredo. Cause ikpemwe na kun na gwa kan rede na na wa agme no wa kan na wa agme wa no na agme redo. No wa gwa kan za lo no gbera. Na pronounce na ze keve na gme keve no wa here a platform kedore ade. By now everybody who has been following should know that where ge vowel na mevedo, that is wola na mevedo, ikpo na mevedo. So then we can proceed. We go now straight to strategies for forming words in Edo. Strategies for forming words in Edo. Oduguga na yakun ikpemwe redo. Redo zevene ojeve uruevo ve nibu asetin lo ode uwuga yakun be ya moi ave ikpeme ni re abo emota na me aweva pàtàkì àti òdeva pàtàkì a wà lò ya ikún ìpẹmẹ na me na lowewo òdeva pàtàkì òdeva na e ma gege wa re na òdeva na àti derivation kekere inflection ode na ya kun ìpẹmẹ kere na ya mo ìpẹmẹ of the derivation kere inflation na iya be me oduwuga ototiya na ya kun ke na ya mo ìpẹmẹ iya be me oduwuga na be ya mo ìpẹmẹ na me wewo beta umu ame ni eva me oluga negbe a umu ame ne derivation me o ene ìpẹmẹ na lo denikun no ke abo emota pa lai abo mota ore oni no we uga lo uta ya kun ìpẹmẹ unari ome nari ba uta ya kun ìpẹmẹ odo kin ni oni no we oke abo uta pa odo lai abo oreni so pa aboge inflation oro ome na meri ba ya ìpẹmọ we so pa ìpẹmọ gbon na ìpẹmẹ na ri kun na ri lo denikun eke abo abe won ta pa lai abo won ta we abo won ta ni o yeje so pa o dun won ta o dun won o dun me ìpẹmẹ na kun ni e o kan lo gan ne na ka no karo na rie mi ba do ya kun ore so o mu ame ore eva ni ona luga ma gege o de vivana na ya kun ìpẹmẹ be ya mu ìpẹmẹ ni rewo derivation. In Edo, as in other languages of the world, new words can be derived from other word classes or parts of speech for the purpose of expanding the lexicon. Words can be inflected without necessarily creating new words for the purpose of extending their meanings. Our focus here is on the formation of nouns and verbs. So under derivation, we will look at 3 different ways of forming words in Edo. Odenokao, maare, odeha, na la, ikwe, ikpeme. Odenokao wo, aseti die. Odenokao, atie, nana ilue, eminatie, oriete, ome, emieso nariete, ìpẹmẹ aya kun ìpẹmọ we ìpẹmẹ na arie mi tena o etinga uta onyo a verb o etinga uniaini onyo a adjective aya kun ìpẹmẹ ni odeha a etinga wono na. The first one I think lo ola iyan olunu ori iyan no redo ya kun ìpẹmẹ eni uwuga. Aetire die uta a unia eni. Ariye adeseneve eminatie olunu u kekere me odenoge hawo aweti die uta a unia eni ya deseneve oriete olunu o kekere ikpeme oma adoya kun dade ikpeme ogeni uwuga zevene ave igemi na kai. By the morphological process of affixation, nouns can be formed from verbs and adjectives in Edo as follows: by prefixing any of the 7 other vowels to them. By prefixing any of the 7 other vowels, by putting verbs or adjectives within the discontinuous morpheme, or by putting the verb or adjective within the form or and ma. Examples using the 7 oral vowels, starting with a, we have verb here and here. Can use it to form a here, ze, a ze, here, a here, ho, a ho. Then we have the vowel e, vie, eve, vin, even, fa, efa, ru. For eru, fe, efe, foi, efoi, wia, ewia. Then we have na. For o, na, ona, tue, otue, hia, o hia. Bie, ove, zan, ozan. We have foin, ofoin, mo, omo, zuo, ozuo. Mu, for imu, o, io. Lele, ilele. Mose, imose. Lorie, ilorie. Ku, iku. For u, we have re, ure. Wu, uwu, gwe, ugwe, le, ole. Then we can put verb or adjective within, in between u and me. We will have gbe, ugbeme, de, udeme. That word is udeme, not udeme. The sawdust are not supposed to be there. Hio, uhiome, polo, upolome, ga, ugame, ni, unyime, sa, usame. Then we can put verb or adjective in between o and oma. We have simi, osimioma, su, oswoma, dolo, odoloma, logo, ologoma, and many others. The second way of derivation is compounding. Odobe na weya ikun ikpeme, odena na ku ikpeme va kugbe, aya kumpa, asetin viuta eva kugbe, aweri uta ba eni, aweri uta ba eni, kekotave, ozebe ne, emenoro bohai. By the process of compounding, we can join 2 verbs, 2 nouns, or as the case may be. Nize getawe naka tava. Ugbeso awa miere ebe, mewa miere ebe so. Ogwe awe ikpeme wenya ide, igwe, ogwi. Awe olano ware nakawa imie no na tie prefix. Awe ola na ya swawe ikpeme anywhere a prefix no. Prefix abi ikpeme werio anamiere be nomagba, namakunse, eno. Such words are not supposed, the initial vowels, they are part and parcel of the words. They are not supposed to be separated from their words. The word like aga, the initial vowel a is not to be regarded as a prefix, please. The word like olo, the o that begins that word is not a prefix, but I have seen some words where there are some books where they are analyzed as prefixes. They are not. But when we talk of syllable structure, when we are talking about how to pronounce those words, we can say that they are two syllable words. O, lo, yes, that is correct. But to say that such initial vowels are prefixes, they are not correct. So those who write must take note of this correction. The initial vowels of such words are not prefixes. They are part and parcel of such words. So we come back to our, okay, such words as meme, zuo, dame, the forms me in such words, they are also part of those words. They are not to be analyzed as suffixes. I see in some books that they are regarded as suffixes. They are not, please. They are part and parcel of the words. So a word like me is one word. The second me is not to be regarded as a suffix. Zuo, or is part and parcel of the word. Dame, me is part and parcel of the word. Dame. So we come back to compounding. By the process of compounding, nouns can be combined to form different structural forms. Verbs can be combined and other forms of combination, as we see in these examples. I think where uta we ikpemwe we ne gbe ugboye odwa gbe gbugbo aga irie o te odwa ogbugbo ogbugbo ni odwa ikpemwe ori luga ne aboemota ne gbugbo kiangaye gbugbo aboemota owuta onije aga irie ola o te odwa ikpemwe ogeni norie ikpemwe mine omawu farmer. Do eki odwae odweki. Okene bene gbugboye apostrophe ogare after gbi before u nayari ma where there is a deletion of the vowel following gbe. So the noun that is formed from gbugbo, when you prefix vowel, the vowel auto it, you don't need the apostrophe. So when you form nouns from verbs, you don't need to add apostrophe because they are now one word, straight one word. That should be taken into consideration. All nominals are one to be regarded as one word. So ogbugbo, odweki, and words like ukbakon, ugbekun, urede, ugbeto, then imiamiegbe, iziegbe, ibalegbe, they are all one word. Imudia, imiefa, omuria, there is no subdot under omuria. Even omu, there's no subdot under o. Omuhe, there's no subdot. So it's a omuhe, omu, omuria. Then we have other structural forms. Ahomioto, alagodao, ariokpagbe, alagbode. You see what we put together, they are verb, hon, near, then a noun, oto. When you now prefix the vowel a to these verbs, they become noun. The same with la, re, odao. You add the vowel a, it becomes alagodao, which means progress or improvement. When you add a to rio, ba plus egbe, it becomes ario by egbe. Then what we usually call the last born, alagbode, you are adding a to 3 words, la, be, ode, pass, cross, part, becomes alagbode. We have other structural forms like that. Ton, egbemu, to have the word arrogance or pride, you add e to 3 words, 3 lift, egbe, and mu, itengbemu. You have ma, oma, emi, you add all, you prefix all to those where it becomes omamaimi. Mu, egbe, die, oto, it becomes imwegberioto, which means humility. These are ways, different ways that we form words, we expand words in the language. When you take up any word to look at in the dictionary, they give you, the dictionary shows you the different senses of that word. These are the ways that we form the words. Then we have another form of compounding. This form is the one you put ore in between 2 nouns. Ore in between 2 nouns. This one, you can use it to show, to give different, a variety of meanings in the language. When you put ore in between 2 nouns, you have different meanings. But what we want to show here is that you have the full form. Looking at the example, you have the 2 forms. Owe plus ozo, for example. You have owe, ore, ozo. Owa, ore, ozo. In their rapid form, you now have owozo. The ore disappears entirely. The ore disappears. To show that there is a deletion. There is a deletion. You are going to use your apostrophe. We are not bothering about the ore that has disappeared in the first speech. We are now left with the 2 words, owe, kekebe, ozo, or owa, kekebe, ozo. You are using the apostrophe to show that there is a deletion of the last vowel of the first word, which is now joining to ozo. If that apostrophe is not there, the word you have formed with the 2 nouns coming together is ill-formed. It's not well-formed. That's what we mean. Ikpemwe, using this ore, which is disappearing. Umanarie apostrophe yo, ikpeme namakunse no. So when you use this ore to join words, you can use the form to reflect many different meanings of words. Owebe, you can use it to mean school. Owugame, church. Aza, orebe, library. Azigo, bank. Azoimi, mortuary. Obebe, academic doctor. Obebo is a medical doctor. We still have many other examples that we might leave on the platform much later. Because of time, we need to go further. The third way that we can use to form words under derivation is through reduplication. Reduplication, odokulugbe. Odokulugbe, aveye, ode, ogokulugbe, beya, ikun, ikpeme, beya, moi, ikpeme, redo. Onona, ewe, aku, ikpeme, vakugbe. Ave kwe, ave rie, obokpa, ore, ikpeme, nupo geva ba, obo, ikpeme, no cow, beja kwen, ikpemwe, igemi, owa plus owa, odwae, owowa, upo plus uwo, upo, odwae, upupo. When you use this method, you are using it to reflect different meanings. Yearly, every month, constant rate, constant years, very beautiful, you know, different meanings. But when you use the method, you must use it rightly. You must use the apostrophe to show that there is a deletion of the vowel occurring in the first word that you are joining to the second word. That is the last vowel of the first word being joined to the second word. The last vowel, the last example, Mose, is an example of the partial reduplication. That is part of the second word being added to the first word. Then the other examples, we will give more examples as time goes on. Then we can, when I setting ikpeme ogeni ogbon owogan bedo area we setting ikpemuta owogan ikpeme ni opa awa ije awo dena bakun awe kun ikpeme uta when I igemi na ye I think vie ikpemuta eva kugbe awe ti iye ikpemo uta by awe ikpeme obe when igemi na ye mu plus re, that is carry, come. Aya here bring webo awe ahiante me emi no waka bohua awe mure so ma ahiante emi nehua awe riere riekpa take away emi nehua mupa emi no hua. Other examples, oja, eat, insult, on your suffer, oja, eat, debt, be indebted, tihi, sneeze, sa, amen, wadegege, ave, igemi ni nakavio, akedo, yeah, okay, samena ladia, amalwe apostrophe, runda amani day. So pa runda ne a ne no re sa nana delete or see ananari apostrophe na yo. So omanowagme same omanari apostrophe yo oni Ikpemwe na kunseo. Okay ne apostrophe na aro. Na make na no rie ma we a delete never.
So as a thing delete Ikpemwe, so they had oria apostrophe yo be na na me we what's it go ahead you I will end the do ni wa komo I will name me ne neri obazu wa ye neri ne any ni after n apostrophe do aro.
Why ya time?
Okay, we're not I know that now we show our okay, and we obazu wa ye neri. Neri in n you know the more apostrophe yo before area.
Yes.
That is ne area.
Ne area. Any I delete a no raw. I delete in another area apostrophe your any no raw I delete.
You understand?
You understand?
You understand?
Okay. So they got me game away des fois ave game away any nothing na ya kwen ave uta o denukpo geva na ya kwen Ikpemwe bedo o dog inflation ma lana o denukpo geva pataki na ya kwen Ikpemwe bedo oriete lo ijona beto oriete eva pataki wa lo ye na tie inflation na oni no we odeva inflation na wa ilaya kun Ikpemwe ode inflation na odeva na we agiri oriete na tie arovi ari yodawe Ikpemuta ayari odun ogege ma ta ya kun Ikpemwe no ke aboemota palawe we na mi edesin oriete nukpo geva anti LV averie oriete we no averie odao oge uta arie averie yoda uta na me yari odueme oge olabama so pa Ikpemwe na aya kuni ewe ke aboemon takpa lai owe oduemo ayari ma ni mage avi game non lele down there odena on at inflation for tens and inflation for number the makage inflation for tens ode no cow na narie oriete arovi odauta agarie oriete arovi yodauta ayarie mawe utani egenaje utani ka ki agirie oriete arovi bae ona doga non lai avi game na platform na orie odweme very oma so say ebo so omi agadie odwe oriete Aro I no by odo say, which is sold. De plus a odo de sie abi ba, which means tie. Aga die by odo by lo plus a odo lo ma derere ere na je na be utanite ye olugane nogije bagidie abe orieteni lele wu agarie uba agarie orieteni bae wadegege orieteni awo eri lugan ne nakari ba se de gba lo oni no we ola no re uta na rie orietena ba ota bene awe ola no re orietena rie ba uta hiagaje wawe dege no re uta fi agarie oriete by fi odwa fi dege uta no we ola oriwe no bene gben je ere example na ni agben odwa gben oriete na ari yo idwa gben so pa ona gben na do na rie oriete ne olabiwe no labiwe je ona gbon bai Ikpemwe na ma kunse anything ona we gben no oriete no labiwe je ona riete bene uta se je ona do se Ikpemwe na ma gben na ma kunse ebe niki Gawe oriete ogolaba dele dele sele solo filo wulo vano gbene buno wene reje erio na reje o agari ogolaba oriete ogolaba ba uta ayari ma we emine uta ni o omwae wetin we ode owa ene enuata o ewe odele owene ugawe ode owene eme no ma gbafo enihin runda agreement iro eme nuta ere emi no de kebe uta no ya tage ode mi video okay we ne agreement gare uta na lo keke emi ne na ye uta u o si ene Edo na me umwame oge uta umwame ni oriete elive iriema Edo urwe onibun ome gbe oriete na.
Okay, ma. And nota. Mr. Dero Pevi, I saw your hand up. Can you go ahead and ask your question now? Unmute yourself, sir. Quickly. Mr. Deropevi. Okay. So if anybody is here, okay, Mr. Pevi, are you there? Okay, if anybody wants to ask questions, just quickly chip in your question now before we move forward. Anyone? Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, go ahead, ma. Go ahead.
Okay. So let's quickly go to formation of plural nouns. Formation of plural nouns. So the odena oe na fie ola no ka owerie we ikpeme na ye ikpeme no okpa hinobu. We can also form plural nouns by changing the initial vowels in a singular noun to another vowel. Can substitute the initial vowel in a singular noun with another vowel. This time is oral vowels we use. And there are not many examples that feature in this way of forming plurals in Edo. I think, yeah, Ikpemwe no okpa here no bu wedo. Pa fie ola no ka owerie ya here ola we. Igemi aye a fiola o werie ya here e. I think, yeah, ola Ikpemwe no okpa ya here. Ikpemwe no bu. Bigemi oma o ayakin e odoga ema, which means persons. O we omo ayakin e odoga children. O we odion ayakin e odoga edion. I said there are not many examples in this category. We can change, we can substitute o for e in words like o to e, odoae okpema, okpema to ikpema, oswaba to become iswaba, odolewo to become idolewo. Then we have a third category, e to e, erele to irele. I know there are other few examples, but they are not accommodated. Then the big category of forming plurals, plural nouns in Edo is to use the form ave. In this method, we can use the form ave, can put the form ave before a singular noun, and you have a plural word, a plural noun. So most other categories of nouns can be formed using this method. We have a be, when you put the word, the plural form, ave, before the singular noun, a be, you will have ave be.
Ave be.
Ehu, ave hu.
So, ma, this singular noun,
Averu.
Is it a singular noun? Averu. Is it a single or a sentence? Averu. Averu. Avebe. Is it a singular noun or a sentence?
No, but we are saying now the one word is owa. Then you want to form the plural of owa. You must use a pluralizer. The ave is that pluralizer. You put the pluralizer before the noun, which is the are. So you now have are. Then in fast speech, you can join the are to the noun. It's not a sentence. It's not a sentence. You are now saying are wa. You can see where it is, where they are written together in fast speech. When you write them together like that, you use the apostrophe. The are, the apostrophe will now be put in front of we. You can see the apostrophe in front of we to show that the a in front of the we has been deleted.
Okay, then we make it one set, one noun, right?
One word, yes.
One word, yeah.
In fast speech, yes.
Okay.
And the one word actually means houses. You are forming, to are turning one house to the plural houses using the pluralizer are. You understand?
Interesting.
That's the general method of forming nouns, plurals of singulars in Edo. The first method we just saw is the one you substitute the initial vowel, but no, it's not many categories of nouns that can be that can come into that way of forming nouns. Just a few examples that we can bring into that category. But most categories of nouns can be pluralized using this method of pluralizer. But when you use this method, you must use the apostrophe to show that a deletion has taken place.
And then moreover,
sentence is two words that have become one word.
One word, exactly. That's what I wanted to say, ma. Yes. I like the apostrophe here. So you can just add this apostrophe like a dog, a ave, a who. Then you have to write it like this so to make it one word by adding that apostrophe, then a who.
Yes. It's fine. Yeah, as it is in the example.
This is so good. Very, very educative. Thank you, ma. Go ahead, ma. It's interesting.
Yeah. But there is something I need to show. When there is this category of now, you can see the ones with asterisks. Ave, a more. When you have these categories of nouns that have been pluralized using the method of initial vowel substitution, you can still pluralize such nouns using this are method.
It's like these children.
Are more. But in some books and in some people's speech, I hear our more. I want to draw the attention of such people to the fact that such words are wrong. You can't use omo with are. It's a wrong form. You must use the already pluralized one, the plural form of omo, which is a more with are. That is why you have the asterisk against our more, our ohu. Are also aba. You must use the plural form are mo, are who, are so aba. When you use our mo, is a wrong way of using these words because are is already a pluralizer. It doesn't agree with these forms of plurals. These forms of words, they don't agree with these forms of words. This small group of words in the language.
Even speaking, You cannot say, okay.
They don't even sound well.
Our more is a wrong.
They don't sound well.
Yes, our more is not so.
Yes.
Not right.
But I hear that in people's speech. I hear that in people's speech. I also see that in some books, which is wrong. So we should take note of all this. Then we have and all that. So then we go further. Then we can also use another method to pluralize our words, our nouns. We can use the quantifiers nobu and nibu. These quantifiers, they are put in front of the nouns that we want to pluralize. These two quantifiers also have their regulations. It is singular nouns the nouns that you can count that you use nibu for. The ones that cannot be counted, you use nobu. So words like aga, common nouns like aga, you use nibu because those words can be counted. Can say agokpa, ageva, like that. So aga, nibu, ewe, nibu, oto, nibu, or deloto, nibu. But when you want to pluralize nouns that cannot be counted and then liquid, you have to use nobu. You can see them here, ame, nobu. So when you say ame, nibu, is a wrong formation. When you say ume, nibu, is a wrong formation because nibu and ame cannot be counted. Ume cannot be counted. Ize, they are ofigmo, oi, they come under the category of words that cannot be counted. So it is nobu, the quantifier nobu, that can be attached to such words to form their plurals. So we must take note of such rules. Then we can also use numerals, olaba. I think olaba te Ikpemwe ya here nobu. I think olaba te Ikpemwe okpa ya here nobu. Igemi ekpo dekpe evano ekpe hano inu ekpo noki ya se inu noki so pane nega ekpo pa wonu ya ki no bu ekpe ha ekpe ne ekpise ekpe ha. You can see there ha ari by odwa 3 bags. Ukpo eva ukpeva 2 years. Ukpise 5 years. Ukpigbe 10 years. So pa agakwe Ikpemwe na keke olaba kugbe. In rapid speech, we must use the apostrophe to show the elision. When we bring the two words together in fast speech, we must use the apostrophe to show that something has been elided. That is the way we can show that we are constructing the word correctly. Sometimes we don't need the apostrophe when there is no deletion. When there is no deletion, we undermine the apostrophe. When there is deletion, we must use the apostrophe to show that there is deletion. That is the mark of good formation of words. So, in this lecture, we have been talking about formation of words in Edo. The Mawagwa can see, oe, Ikpemwe na kun be Edo, kekere, umwame, oge, Ikpemwe na. Mana gwankai, odeva pataki, na ya kun, ave, Ikpemwe na. Ode, okpa, onagae, ode na ya kun Ikpemwe. Nanake aboymonta kpalai aboymonta ore odenoke aike aboymonta kpalare sopan Ikpemwe nakun odun emo e oluganegbe onioye derivation and inflection. Oge derivation wo no waka aboja Ikpemwe mua Ikpemwe no re uruewo no waka aboja mua wa no runda.
We still have a long way to go to learn Edo language. It's not easy. What's in the month is not enough, because honestly, if you are here, you are watching right now, and you are not a part of the WhatsApp group, just let me know. I can add you to the WhatsApp, because there are a lot going on there. Professor Omozuwa has been helping us, answering our questions, giving us some good lecture about Edo language in the platform. Please, if you are here today, because I saw so many people who are not in the WhatsApp group, okay, if you are here, you want to be a part of the WhatsApp group, please do that as soon as possible. Dr. Osagbovo, go ahead, sir. I saw that you raised your hand.
Oh, yes, I did. Thank you very much, ma'am. And I want to start by thanking Prof for the very wonderful lecture. She has taken it step by step, such that we are all able to follow from the beginning to the end. But I would like Prof to throw more light on the issue of the spelling forms, the written forms. Because in most of the examples, Prof will present the one with word division, and also present another one with apostrophe, which she called the fast speech form, or the one with rapid speech. So at what point is it that when writing we can write either with word division or with the one with rapid speech, or at what point is it necessary? At what point do we use the one with word division? And at what point do we use the one with the apostrophe? Because my understanding from the lecture, the apostrophe, the form with apostrophe is supposed to represent how we actually say it, as against how we actually would write it. So I will like Prof to throw more light on that issue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And the issue of apostrophe and rapid speech, word division, when we are talking, or when we are using these forms in speech, when we are using the language in speech, most times we don't bother much about apostrophe, because the people you are talking to hear you and understand you perfectly well what you are talking about. Whether you model up the words, whether if 10 different words are supposed to make up one sentence, and you decide to say all of them as one word, it will not really matter because they will still understand what you are talking about. So we are actually focusing on the written form of these words. And even the written forms, we can still talk about two forms of writing: formal writing and informal writing. The formal writing is the one that has to do with real cases of analysis, like when you need to identify the words that make up, for example, the phrase or the sentences you have written. You need to identify the words that are featuring in the sentences, the words that are functioning, performing different functions in the sentences. You need to demarcate the words using word division. So if you write a phrase like the one on slide 6, like, okay, the sentence, the one on slide 7. Let's look at the sentences on slide 7. Slide 7. Ijo esukunode amezegwale evae esese. You see that sentence 1 has 4 words. Ijo esukunode has 4 words. Amezegwale evae esese has 5 words. It is because of word division, it is easy to identify the number of words that make up the sentences, and you can also show what the words, the roles that the words are performing in the different words. So in a formal kind of writing, where you need to show which is the subject part of the sentence and which is the predicate part, that is, we know all sentences can be divided into subject and predicate. What is the subject part and what is the predicate part? Well, which word is the verb? What is that verb? Which action is that verb performing? What object is the verb performing the action on? It is the words that feature in the sentences that will help us to answer all these questions. So if you model the words together, as we see on the ones asterisk, you won't be able to answer those questions. That is why that kind of formal writing will not be feasible if you don't obey the feature of word division. But in maybe a writing like poem, you don't need to separate the words like this. Writing like song, you don't need to separate the words like this, so that you will have free flow of speech. Are you following?
Mm.
You need to use the apostrophe. Because sometimes you will need to join 2 words together so that your speech will be able to flow very fast because of the demand of the song or the poem. So in that kind of setting, you will need to use the apostrophe to show that certain deletions have taken place in the course of joining some words. I don't know if you understand
And
the explanation.
yes, I understand, ma. I'm okay. Go ahead, Professor. Unmute yourself, Professor Omozuwa. Unmute yourself.
Yes. What she's saying in essence is that the formal and informal form of writing, these are the two basic ways of rendering, the sentences. So in the informal, which corresponds to the way we speak ordinarily, what we call the running speech. That is where you use apostrophe when you are rendering what that person is saying in writing. So you put wherever there has been a deletion and all that by using the apostrophe. That is, a simpler way of saying it.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
First of all, can we know your name? Can you rename your device?
Yeah, okay, yeah. My name is Itohan von Pishoski. Yeah, I'm a part of the group.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm a part of the group. Yeah. Thank you, man. This lecture, in fact, is very, very informative. And in fact, I'm really glad to be a part of this group. And my question is between the singular and the plural form of noun words. Because, for example, in the course of your lecture, you said uwa is a singular form is uwa, but when we're saying it in plural form, is ave uwa. So my question now is, can we say instead of ave uwa to say uwa nibu? Is it also correct, the plural form? Yeah.
Yes, very correct. Because uwa is a noun that can be counted. And I said, to use nibu, you have to attach it to singular nouns that can be counted. So you can decide to use ave or nibu.
Okay.
Anyone you choose is correct. So why is a noun that you can
be counted?
That's with nibu.
Okay.
So provided you don't use it with nobu, because nobu is a pluralizer that you use with nouns that cannot be counted.
Counted, exactly, yeah. Okay, thank you so much, yeah.
So, one thing is very common in Edo language, where it then no poho. Then instead no poho, there will be an apostrophe. Ugo, niye koriomo. You will see ugo, the n apostrophe is so common in Edo language. We want more clarification why this, and I know that the professor highlighted it today. Today is actually the first time I've ever seen anyone explaining it in detail why the Edo language is written that way. I will eat then look boku. No, the other thing go niyo koriomo, the n. So I was wondering over these years, why is it that this n apostrophe all the time? So it's so clear to me to this lecture. Honestly, I will encourage everybody to please watch this program over and over again if you really want to learn how to write Edo language properly. Not only writing, even speaking. From today's lecture, I understand how we should be pronouncing certain things properly. How you can combine two words together and make it one. It's very interesting. Very, very interesting. Kudos to all the professors who came out with this program at the University of Benin. It's so interesting, the Edo language.
Yeah.
So if anyone has a question, please go ahead and ask your question. This is a very wonderful lecture, So in the case of no question, we have to end today's program because I think we have been here for almost 2 hours, if not more than 2 hours now. So then we will call it a quit for today. Thank you all. Professor Omozuwa, thank you so much. Professor Esoe Omoregbe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wesley, besides this program, I know how much you have been supporting me, supporting my work. Oh my God, I can't just explain how much I've been receiving support from you. Thank you so much. And everybody that joined to this program, I appreciate that. We had a lot of people. I took the attendance. Many people joined the program today. You know, thank you all.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.